Alright, listen up. I'm about to tear apart some Rimuru fanboy who actually thinks grass ain't green. Dude tried to debunk my video, so now I'm coming back to downplay his sorry ass all over again.
That the hierarchy of wall is uniform. So bro, first of all, wall has their own hierarchy. But for easy explanation, I will explain in simple terms. So there is a substance called magicules. Each wall has their own magicules. These magicules govern the abstract thing and physical thing both. But the physical construct lack the magicules and spiritual worlds didn't lack them. That's why physical world also known as the weaker worlds, but spiritual worlds also known as the higher existence.
Now there's hell, a metaphysical plane and realm of nothingness. The term, void, just refers to emptiness or blackness, basically. Hell is where primordial demons rule. They're the opposite of the 7 primordial angels and existed before creation. Demons originally come from hell, and hell or the underground existed before everything. Life and death have no meaning in its depths, only spiritual beings exist. So that makes hell a non-physical, aspatial dimension.
The word in Tanzua uses a equal term, but in this context, it's referring to empty space or nothingness. Nothingness is referred to non-existent materials and objects. Okay, so it's aspatial, and aspatial means not related to space. So by that, he means to say that space, there is no space in hell, which is already out.
Then there's subspace, a reality that existed before everything. In subspace, there's no direction or distance, just unfathomable void. This means subspace lacks spatio-temporal axes, so yes, that would qualify as a higher dimension.
Who's supposed to hold the spatial axis as the essential property of a space, and if there is no spatial axis, so there is no space at all. And now same goes to the temporal axis, because time is just a flow of events, and if there is no axis of time, so there is no time at all. Now I hope that two concept is clear. So if there is no space and no time, so there is no dimension at all, because time and space is the essential property of a dimension that makes the subspace already out of yourself in your context that you lack.
A reality where time is distorted and doesn't flow normally. It contains multiple universes, and some have physics and logic beyond lower dimensional comprehension, like time existing on a different level or moving so slowly it's practically non-existent.
This fucking Nika showing the suspended walls can to scale the other wall. Like literally this is as scaling, but now let's talk about the other world. So yeah, other world lack the time. Yeah, bro, self-accept that time is practically non-existence. But if time is practically non-existent, then there is space, and space and time is correlated in Zura. So yeah, space is non-existent too. But now if we go with this context, so yeah, up and down, like coordinate do not exist there. I mean, it lack the axis too. And yeah, now we will go more the information particle do not exist, then we will make the money.
Then there's the suspended world where time is completely stopped, another higher dimensional space. So you've got all these realms, hell, subspace, otherworld, suspended world, each with their own bizarre laws and structures. Put it all together and you're looking at 6th or 7th dimensional scaling at best. That's complex multiversal, sure, but still nowhere near outerversal or boundless. Okay, so the otherworld contains countless universes and operates on a higher ontological level than normal space-time, making it 6th dimensional. Then you've got the suspended world where time
Fucked up, bro. What the fuck he think he's doing? Suspended world is just a skill that stop the time of all possible world. It is not a higher dimensional anything like that. It's just a skill that stop the flow of time. Okay, so fucked up. I don't care what he's doing, but the space and time go stop because the suspended world stop the flow of time, and flow of time and space is the correlated. That's why the space and time stop when the suspended world skill got used. And this skill is just the universal, or I can say this is the only two-way because it stopped the time of all worlds. But all possible world in contextually refers to timeline here.
Cardinal world refers to the space beyond the labyrinth, which carries hundreds to infinite floors, and these floors are dimensions, each depending on the magnitude of magical energy. The labyrinth contains countless to infinite spacetimes, making it 4-dimensional. Outside the labyrinth is the cardinal world or universe, and there's a dimensional gap between them. So cardinal world is also a higher dimensional plane based on context. Anyway, let's move to the Promised Land. So the Promised Land is a realm of dreams, consciousness, and souls, completely spiritual, transcending life and death, similar to Hell's depths. Fans use this to wank Rimuru to outerversal, but let's be real, being spiritual and beyond physical universes doesn't automatically mean outerversal. No transcendence over dimensionality itself, no superiority over all concepts of space and time. At best, this scales to 7th dimensional or complex multiversal, not hyperversal, not outer. So yeah, Promised Land isn't touching true outerversal tiers. So conclusion, Rimuru is 7-dimensional fodder, and the cosmology stops at 7 dimensions. Reason is simple, there's no infinite hierarchy, only multiple finite layers. No endless ascending dimension.
Okay, this nigga has literally no knowledge about Tensor and still trying to debunk it like a stupid person. So yeah, he's just scaling a single timeline of a cardinal world. And yeah, Labyrinth is already a hyperversal Because the entire labyrinth has their own hierarchy of dimensional structure. And yeah, each floor had their own dimension and cardinal timeline encompassed of this labyrinth, which is already hyperversal due to having 100 spatial dimension inside it. And yeah, that's why the labyrinth is hyperversal and timeline encompasses, so timeline itself is a hyperversal. So yeah, in this context, the cardinal wall itself is a hyperversal, but it lacks the spirituality and physicality, and spirituality is like 1A in Tensura, and yeah, physicality is a known 1A, so it is already H1A, and yeah, that's it. If okay, promise, I see the entire cosmological structure as a reality over fiction, and yeah, that's it. So entire cosmology is hyperversal. Oh, I'm sorry, high outerversal, and yeah, we are this context the promised land itself is the high outer vessel. Yeah, that's it. I don't know a lot like him. I just gonna explain his point. Like he's literally as killer of Tensura or anything. Like he's Arno's Gunner. Like first time I saw this type of shit. And yeah, if this nigga, if you're watching my video, so yeah, come into my Discord. My Discord is Anime Batania Studio. Okay, and you can just type APT and yeah, that's it. My username. And if you can't even find in the in about section, there is my Discord server. Yeah, so come into my server, come and debate with me.
So this end, if there's no space-time, nothing exists and tried to call that outerversal. Bros out here using ancient, dusty scaling logic, so I'm shutting it down. Here's the deal, if there's no time or space axis, that's not outerversal, that's zero-dimensional, or straight-up non-scalable. Why? Because you need something to be superior to in order to define your strength or state. Simple. Example, a 2D space has zero thickness, so it's infinitely below 3D. A 4D space is infinitely above 3D. Same rule all the way up. Now, to claim qualitative superiority just because space-time doesn't exist. That's baseless. Go check the tiering system. Low outerversal characters or planes have to clear every possible dimension and concept, not just dodge time and space. And here's the kicker. Being above the concept of time doesn't get you anywhere near low outer, unless you transcend every single spatio-temporal axis out there. Period. Alright, so this dude also brought up physical and spiritual planes existing. Cool, but here's the thing, that doesn't give you any transcendence over dimensionality. A spiritual plane or existence. Yeah, it's outside physics and normal laws, but that just means it's governed by higher laws and principles, not that it's beyond them. So spiritual world, physical world, other world, none of that puts you beyond time and space axis. And this, surpassing time, claim, that only puts you above lower realities like 3D. That scales nowhere near hyperversal, stop reaching. Same goes for subspace, it's a void lacking space-time. But I already explained, non-existence of something doesn't automatically scale you anywhere. It's nothing, literally. Now, his whole argument. No solid evidence of any hierarchy. And that, suspended world stuff. There's zero context saying it stops time across all possible worlds. That's just guesswork, plain and simple. So with all that flimsy nonsense out the way, let's move on to the promised land, cause clearly he ain't there yet. Alright, I already broke down why spiritual planes don't scale anywhere near low outerversal, so let's not repeat that. Now, the promised land. Nowhere near hyperversal, period, and those, cardinal worlds. All they are is beyond the dimensionality of the living universe or some other dimensions, that's it. Nothing special, nothing infinite. I said it before and I'll say it again. Claiming spiritual worlds equal an infinite hierarchy is straight nonsense. That's a non sequitur, no logical leap holds up. So unless dude brings actual proof of infinite layers or true hierarchical transcendence, his argument's dead in the water. Now about Labyrinth, it has hundreds floors or many and they dimensions of own axis, but they depend on magical energy or output, so scale nowhere above multiversal. Also, there's no single world that's infinite. All worlds have space-time, so they're just planets or stars at best. Simple. And to break it down, a dimension in math is just a parameter. It can represent any space you think of, even mental or temporal realms that lack physics. So when someone says a spiritual world has transcendence over dimensions, that term only means what the narrative says it means. It's verse-dependent. Now, tensura, finite higher dimensional structure, some abstract planes, that's it. With Wank, maybe it scales above 10 dimensions or low hyperversal. That's the ceiling, nothing more. And nah, I don't need to step into your server. I've gone back and forth with Rimuru stands before, and honestly, they're worse than Goku Glazers. So keep coping, my guy. You do you. So here's the bottom line. Rimuru ain't touching outerversal tiers. Not now, not ever. At best, he's sitting below hyperversal, and that's with heavy wank. That's the case. Case closed. Now if you actually paid attention and ain't coping, like the video and subscribe to the channel. More debunks coming.